Hi everyone, here we have a study case related to project management. We're going to read in an article about Calcutta's metro. In 1996, Calcutta's long-awaited metro finally opened to a collective sigh of relief from the long-suffering population of this large Indian city. Critics had long derided the project, one of the slowest-moving public works projects ever conceived and implemented. The single route line, comprising 17 stations and slightly more than 10 total miles of track, had taken 23 years from the date it was first approved at a final estimated cost of almost $5 billion. To put this figure into perspective, New York City's subway system boasts 656 miles of mainline track and 468 stations, all for a city whose population is significantly less than Calcutta's estimated 11 million residents. Calcutta's metro project represents a textbook example of the problems that can arise from poor planning. The project was initially hampered by poor funding that slowed the development process. However, it was during project planning that a number of constraints became apparent that were to negatively impact on the project. For example, one factor that impeded progress was the decision to begin construction right in the middle of the city. Rather than start at one of the two terminal points, the project managers elected to begin digging in the city center, first tunneling down and then in both directions simultaneously. The problems with soil removal and heavy equipment transportation rose dramatically as a result. Among the other factors that the metro project had to work around were 1. Exclusive possession of the site was not possible. Normal life in the city had to go on as usual. While this is a normal byproduct of most metropolitan construction, in a city the size and congestion of Calcutta, with an inadequate road system to begin with, there was a constant battle between maintaining normal traffic flows and creating enough buffers to allow for metro construction. 2. Traffic could not be fully diverted from the roads. The road system was almost completely inadequate to start. It was, therefore, impossible to divert traffic from already dreadfully overcrowded thoroughfares. 3. Uncharted utilities. Sewer, water, gas mains, phone, electric cables. By far the worst features of construction was the near-total absence of a master plan showing the location of underground utilities and cable lines. Work was continually started, stopped, and gradually restarted as crews and await their repairs to the infrastructure. 4th, shops around the site had to be provided with view and approach. Local shop owners were justifiably worried about the effect on their commerce of closing off access to their shops while construction went on. They actively worked against metro development until they were individually provided with access lanes from their shops to the still operation streets. Another unforeseen problem resulted from the large bureaucracy that sprang up around the metro's construction. Utilizing thousands of laborers, the project organization led to the creation of a huge social umbrella for employees and the families, as housing, schools, and medical centers were created and subsidized by the Metro Authority for the life of the project. In fact, one critic argued that it was wishful thinking to assume that workers would be motivated to quickly complete a project that provided such a comprehensive set of benefits for them and their families. Now we need to answer the following questions. Question 1. Assume that you are the mayor of Calcutta soliciting bids for the construction of the metro. How would you construct a statement of work for the project to encourage efficient and creative means for undertaking this project? As the mayor of Calcutta, my statement of work, SOW, would be designed to foster innovation, accountability, and risk mitigation from all bidding contractors. The SOW would include the following elements. Project objective: to design and construct a functional, safe, and efficient metro system that improves mobility for the city's population, with minimal disruption to daily life. Scope of work: conduct a full feasibility study, including geotechnical surveys, traffic impact analysis, and utility mapping. Design a metro system with at least 17 stations and approximately 10 miles of underground track. Submit a phased construction plan that minimizes disruption by starting at the terminal points and progressing inward. Develop plans for stakeholder engagement, especially with local businesses and commuters. Ensure temporary access routes to commercial establishments during all stages of construction. Deliverables: detailed engineering and construction drawings. Environmental and social impact mitigation plans. Monthly progress reports and budget tracking. Full documentation of underground utility relocation or protection plans. Timeline: a realistic and trackable timeline with milestones and penalties for major delays, except in force majeure conditions. Evaluation criteria for bids. Demonstrated experience in urban tunneling and metro construction. Use of innovative construction methods, tunnel boring machines versus cut and cover. Clear strategy for working in congested urban environments. Proven record of managing utility coordination and community engagement. Incentives and penalties. Bonuses for early or on-time delivery. Deductions for delay or poor safety/compliance performance. Question 2. Which of the problems the metro project faced were the result of a poorly conceived project scope, and how much was due to simple bad luck? Defend your position. Here are the problems due to poor project scope versus bad luck. The first one, poor project scope, inappropriate starting point. Starting construction in the congested city center rather than at terminal points was a critical planning error. This significantly worsened logistics, traffic disruption, and soil removal challenges. Lack of utility mapping. The absence of accurate records for underground utilities was a predictable risk. A proper scope would have included mandatory preliminary surveys to identify existing infrastructure before excavation. Failure to coordinate stakeholders. The resistance from shop owners and the need to later provide access lanes indicate that stakeholder engagement was not embedded in the original scope. This lack of foresight contributed to project delays. Excessive bureaucracy and social programs. While worker welfare is important, the uncontrolled expansion of social services created perverse incentives for prolonging the project. A clear HR and workforce management policy should have been established from the beginning. And the second one is bad luck. Extreme traffic congestion. Although the city's congestion was known, the inability to fully divert traffic may have been worse than anticipated. However, this could also be considered a foreseeable constraint for a project in a dense urban area. The final conclusion is, majority of the metro project's problems were not the result of bad luck, but stemmed from a poorly defined and unrealistic project scope, including poor sequencing, inadequate stakeholder planning, and a lack of baseline data. Effective project planning should anticipate urban challenges and integrate mitigation strategies into the scope of work. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.